Alright, in this video, we're going to go over how to build discipline as the fat kid to me, what I look like in the now, what I look like in the present moment. And I have this picture of David Goggins. I know it looks stupid, but because throughout weight loss, throughout self-improvement, and becoming a better person, you have to learn the skill of acquiring discipline. Discipline is not more than just David Goggins row the boats. It's a whole system you have to learn how to follow. Because following that discipline that he did, and he created his own system, led to him, right, becoming this in the present moment. He lost the weight, he put the work in, and he did it at the end of the day. That's all it took, was building discipline. And part of discipline is also consistency. Staying consistent on the journey, right? Discipline is going through the hard times with stoicism, with not showing your emotions, with staying on something for a while, not quitting the weight loss, not going back to the junk food when you wanted to. Discipline is putting those extra hours in the cardio just to lose the weight, just to burn the extra calories, just to burn the extra fat that your body is just holding. And you hate this version of yourself and you want it to go away. You want the fat to go away. And how's that going to happen? Through being disciplined, through doing the extra steps, like eating clean, going to the gym a little more each day, and then you will become this version, this version of you. And the first step to building discipline, as the 240-pound kid, as the overweight kid growing up, is to define your why. Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you going to build discipline? What is your why? The why will help you actually achieve your goals. You'll have a higher chance to achieve your goals because you have a defined why. You have a reason to be disciplined and stay on track. So then what was his why? What was this kid's why? The bullying, the anxiety, the depression, the self-hatred he had for himself, but he wanted to become better. He wanted to actually get out of his room and do something with his life. He wanted to become healthy again. Like, he didn't even drink water, which was a basic human necessity that everyone, does. But he didn't do it because he didn't care about himself and he wanted to care about himself again. So what did he do? He joined wrestling. And that was his why. That's why he became disciplined, because he had that goal and end of mind to become skinny. And he did, right here. That's me at the club. God damn, I look good there. Just saying. But maybe I need to get a haircut again. But this kid, he built discipline because the first step he did was defining his why. He said that he didn't want to be this kid anymore. And so he made the action steps to not be that kid anymore. Through getting exercise, through getting rigorous training, through going to the gym and lifting weights and eating healthier at school or at home. Little small things and the extra cardio and less phone time where he can avoid the corn, the video games, the junk food, the bad habits that weren't going to serve him any good in this life. So he defined a why. He didn't want to become this kid anymore. The one that was lonely in his room, in the dark room, just, wasting his life away on bad habits. I look creepy in that photo, by the way. But over time, he built the discipline because the first step was a why. And that led to him looking like this now. Because he made that clear goal of, I want to look like this. But what am I going to do in the present moment? I got to work hard for it. I gotta do the extra steps that nobody else is willing to do in order to get to that version of you yourself. I mean, that's really it. Now, the second step of building discipline as, the 240-pound kid, the way I used to be, was building small wins. And what do these pictures represent? They represent small wins. See, in this picture, this was me taking a picture when I was losing weight for the first time ever. I was always insecure growing up of taking pictures of myself on my own phone. And so, I don't look happy in this photo, but I did it. That was a small win. It may have seemed like a small win to others, but I perceived it as a very big one. And, there's the confetti. I also have this small one, is eating clean. Because I never eat clean growing up. I always ate junk food, always ate pizza, I always ate cookies, cake, ice cream. I don't know. Like, you can literally, like, like name any sort of junk food, and I've eaten it before. Burgers, fast food, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King. My favorite was Taco Bell. I used to eat everything, right? But eating clean and even cooking my own meals, like ground turkey, rice, and low cal sauce with peas, it's a small win. And so we have to celebrate or build, like Bob the Builder, build. That's a bad example. Build these small wins. What are some other small wins? Well, a small win could be something as taking a 10-minute cardio session. Because I was so obese and so overweight that I would run out of breath instantly when I would like run a little bit or jog a little bit or do a little bit of cardio. I was so unhealthy. But when I did 10 minutes of it, and then I increased it over time, I progressive overloaded, did 30 minutes of cardio and 5 minutes of, jogging. That saved my life. That built discipline inside of me because I tried harder and harder and harder each time. That's how you build discipline is you have to put the effort in every single solitary time you do that thing, even though it's small. Because that will build discipline inside of you. And also, calendar. The calendar is important. You can track your small wins. You can track them in a journal and see how you can improve from, right, the previous session. How can you improve from the previous session? How can you become a better person? It's through just building these small wins. Another small win is like I was saying earlier, literally drinking water, drinking a gallon of water. It's a small win because I grew up drinking freaking Coke, Sprite, Mountain Dew, tea, everything with sugar in it. Is what I drank growing up because he was so unhealthy and he didn't know how to build these small wins. And once he learned how to build these small wins, it actually led to him losing the weight and becoming a better person, not externally, but internally as well. Now, the third step in building discipline as the fat kid, you have to create a system. Now, what is a system? A system is like, system settings. It's a combination of, why did I draw a sun instead of a gear sign? Settings. It's a system that's a group of settings, group of things that's together, that combines into one thing. And so we have to create that system in order to lose weight. We can't just follow one thing and then expect to lose the weight. We have to follow routine, our automation, and our identity. So, what do I mean by routine? Routine. All right. The 240-pound kid me, he actually had a routine when he didn't think he did. He'd wake up early. So usually he'd wake up around 7:30 a.m. then have his first meal, then he'd go to school, then after, he'd have lunch around 1, or he'd have his lunch around 1 p.m. Boom, gets out of school. It's 3:30. So what he would do, he would lift some weights or do cardio. Then at 4, he had wrestling practice. Had that for a few hours. Then at 7, he ate dinner. He had a healthy meal for dinner. Hygiene. Took a shower. And then after that at 8, he did homework. Or he did studies. Or he worked on his passions. Which back then I didn't really have passions like YouTube. I wasn't really a YouTuber or anything back then, but I was just kind of, this was like literally my routine. Like on how I lost weight was boom, weights, right? Like literally this is the same thing I followed for 5 days a week. See how following this routine for 5 days a week led to that weight loss? It's because I followed a consistent routine, something that I actually did every day. But then, what was the routine like in the weekends? Since I didn't have school, well, that block of school, I would do chores, cleaning, eating clean. I would spend more time doing cardio sessions, maybe going to the gym for an hour or 30 minutes. Depends, right? Or, I would hang out with friends and not try to eat any junk food. But if I did, it would have to be on Sunday or a cheat day. At least one day of the week where I would have a cheat meal, right? And my routine is very different now. Now that I'm an adult, obviously, and I'm out of, you know, school. I don't go to school anymore, right? I mean, I could go through it real quick, but it's very different because I work a job, which, it just the routine just depends on if I don't, work that day. So usually my off day, wake up early, boom, 7:30 a.m. or 8. I'm more of like a night wolf, so I kind of wake up more later in the day. So around like 8:30 a.m. usually is when I wake up. Then I had breakfast, cardio, supplements, hygiene. Then sometimes I would skip out on breakfast, do these 3 steps, and then I would record videos for my channel, edit videos, script. And when I'm done that, I eat breakfast. So then I work a bit more on my, my side hustle, my business, my YouTube channel. And, you know, I would go to the gym. Then I would eat lunch. I'd actually have a snack before between that area. Lunch, boom, task, boom, dinner, boom, bedtime. Usually around 10 p.m. is when I should go to bed. I mean, it's that, and you have to just follow this throughout the week. It's that simple. This is how you build discipline. Like my routine isn't like David Goggins, like running for an hour, running a marathon every day. It's like it's simple and it's something structured that you just have to follow, and then you will actually see progress in yourself once you actually follow a consistent routine. See, I kind of gave you an idea on the routine I did growing up and still now to this day. And so, along with routine comes automation, and I have set. You're setting things up for success. That's part of the system, right? What I like to do is during my routine, before I get ready for the gym, I make sure I have Wow. Wait, I'm trying to draw like a shirt. So this is my gym shirt. It has the little gym shark. Actually looks pretty good. So I have my like my my little gym shirt. I have my gym shorts with the once again the gym shark drip. I have my tennis shoes. Oh God, those are horrible shoes. I don't, you know, and I make sure I have everything ready beside me. You know, I have my pre-workout shake. I'm trying to draw a Gila Mix bottle. This is my pre-workout. You know, boom. I'm making sure that, and I have my camera too for recording videos. Boom. So I'm making sure that I have everything beside me before I go to the gym, and that's what automation is setting the good habits up, setting the discipline up for good, right? With automation, you can that also implies towards food. You open your fridge, boom shakalaka, right? And then you see the good, healthy, clean alternatives. And so you go ahead and cook that. Boom. And then you track that onto your phone. MyFitnessPal. Boom. You just tracked your calories for the day, and now you know for sure that you're on a caloric deficit towards losing the weight because you have that automation. You're setting those things up for success. And with the last thing with creating a system comes identity. What do I mean by identity, right? Identity. You have to think of yourself as someone that is simply a disciplined person. Don't think of yourself as, okay, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Because what if you're not doing any of the habits that will lead you to losing 50 pounds? What if you're just, you know, half assing everything and you're not doing anything to actually lose 50 pounds? So you have to become that person that is disciplined. And you tell yourself, I am boom shakalaka. I am disciplined. I'm someone who actually follows the routine. I'm someone that follows automation. I'm someone that creates a new identity for myself that will lead me towards making even more progress. And then once I create that identity and actually see progress in the weight scale, and I keep going and 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 going, I will eventually lose 50 pounds and reach to my goal because I created a system. I made small wins. I defined my why. I wanted to lose 50 pounds because, let's say, 'cause you just hated your body. You didn't want to be the old version of you anymore. And so you changed your identity. And part of identity change is changing your identity, changing the automation. You do things, you place things, changing the environment, even your surroundings, and creating a routine that you can actually follow. Because the best part about becoming disciplined is actually following a consistent routine and building that identity that will lead to a better life. The fourth step, building discipline. You got to get comfortable towards the uncomfortable. It's that simple. Your comfort zone, right? You're in that bubble. And I talked about this in previous videos before. You're stuck in this bubble, right? And you're floating around in this bubble. And you're curled up, right? In this comfort zone. And outside of that bubble, once you pop it, I drew a picture of a pin, but okay, whatever. All right, once you pop that pin, there's so much outside of that comfort zone, right? And you just have to pop that pin and blow the bubble up in order to make progress, right? But then how? How do we just get out of this bubble, right? You got to push yourself. You got to go to the gym 5 times a week. You got to do the cardio when it's necessary. You're pushing yourself out of that comfort zone. You need to confront. those people that bully you. And even if you don't, that's okay. Because throughout time, you'll become a better person and they'll stop bullying you. You need to eat the clean foods, the foods that you're not comfortable with eating. You need to go out there and show yourself to the world. I used to be scared to work out or even run in front of others because I was so anxious about my body of myself. And I was scared of judgment. I thought everyone around me was going to judge me. And that's not true. Once you pop that bubble and that judgment, you become brighter. You become a better person. And you learn, okay, you know what? That wasn't as bad. The gym, my first day at the gym, it wasn't that bad as I thought it'd be. So you have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And it still applies to me today. I mean, when I get out of my house or, when I'm going out with friends, it could be a little uncomfortable, but it just takes some time to step out of that zone. And when you actually step out of that comfort zone, tired, you grow. You make so much more progress because you're doing something that's hard. You're doing the hard task. You're putting the hard task first, right? And you'll grow and you'll learn from it and you'll become comfortable in the uncomfortable situation and those dark situations that you're not used to living through. That leads on to the last step. This. I'm going to make this bigger. You, and I have it in red, you will mess up during this journey. That's just a fact. That's just a fact about weight loss. We fall back on cravings. We fall back on not skipping out on the gym or skipping out on a cardio session. Not tracking your calories for a day. Not tracking your weight. Going up in the weight scale because you had junk food over the weekend, right? There's so many things and areas that you can mess up in that can lead to you thinking that it's the end of the journey, but really in reality, it's not the end of the journey. We mess up. Building discipline, right? We always don't do it the right way. We mess up. And that's just a fact. That's just a fact that you really have to accept and digest. Because I've messed up many of times. Even when it comes to talking to girls, relapsing. There's just so many things that I can list that you can just easily mess up on during your weight loss journey. Maybe even injury. You will mess up. Cravings, like I said earlier. You go and eat out. And then you eat out too much. You're like, okay, I'm going to order the healthiest thing from the menu, but then you end up choosing the freaking 2 pound burger. Bro. Oh, that's a funny story I have to share. I said, okay, I'm losing weight. I'm gonna go and choose the healthiest thing. And then I end up choosing the freaking barbecue bacon burger with a side of onion rings. And then I eat appetizers, mozzarella sticks, and then they bring out salad and bread, and then I just eat all of that. And that's like, what, 3,000 calories? Like, that's not even funny, bro. At that point, you're doing that to yourself. And that's part of step 5 when we're building discipline as that overweight kid is you have to realize that you will mess up and things won't always go as perfect as they seem. So that's my system. That's how I built discipline. That's how I went from this to this. Right? That's how I went from this, right, to this. This sexy guy. Right. Right. We have to build discipline through defining our why, setting goals, getting those small wins, creating a system we can follow to stay disciplined, becoming uncomfortable, which actually builds up even more discipline than I would say than these 3 steps. Because you're actually pushing yourself to do something you're not used to doing. And the fifth step is just realizing that we all make mistakes in the end of the day. We're all not perfect, right? We're all not we're all not perfect at the end of the day. And you guys have to realize that through self-improvement and self-development, that it takes a while to actually build up that discipline and lead to the life where we want to lead. Because it took me more than a year to actually build and create that system. I didn't all just do it in one day magically and then I became perfect. It's through trial and error that we build the discipline and we become better humans in the end of the day. So you just got to do the action steps, the system, the steps that I provide in this video, and you will actually build discipline. Instead of saying, oh, I'm not disciplined, I don't know how to build discipline, I don't know what it is, I give up. Don't give up. If you give up, then you stay in the same place. You stay in your comfort zone. You stay in that bubble like I was mentioning earlier. So just stay there. But thank you guys for watching through this video, watching through this lecture. This is my third lecture on the YouTube. I have my main channel. Go subscribe to that, where I explain my stories and topics on weight loss. And buy my program. It's in the description. It has everything I've ever trained on. My whole diet, my whole training plan. Everything I know about weight loss is in that little guide. That big guide. It's like a book. So go read that. Go do your thing. Stay disciplined. Stay hard, boys. Love y'all.